Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. And today's webinar is on search engine optimization, or SEO, for the continuing education and lifelong learning industry. And we're very happy to have Suzanne Cart with us from the Learn organization. And before we get going, though, with Suzanne's presentation, just wanted to run through some quick logistics for the webinar. And first off, just wanted to let you know that throughout the course of the webinar today, we will have polling questions. And so we typically put the polling question up on the screen, and then you'll have about a minute to respond, and then we'll continue on with the presentation. Also, just wanted to let everybody know that we are recording the webinar today, and so we will put a link to the recording of the webinar along with a copy of the slides up on the Augusoft website, and there is a link right there to where you can find that. And we usually get that up within 24 hours, so we'll send out a notice to everybody when that's up and ready. Also, just ask if you do have to take a call or leave for any moment of time, it's best if you just sign out and then sign back in versus putting the call on hold. And also, if you've got questions for Suzanne, we are going to be doing a short Q&A at the end. And so if you've got a question, you can just send that in anytime throughout the course of the webinar using the questions box on your toolbar, and then we'll answer as many of the questions as we can get to at the end. And so with that, I think we're ready to go, and so I will turn things over to Suzanne. So Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, let's get started here. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on myself, so you kind of knew where I was coming from with this information. I've been working at Learn for about 6 years now, but before that I spent 9 years at a community college in Michigan and working in lifelong learning, continuing education marketing. So I have been both in the field and working for Learn. And my background, my academic background, I have my master's in public administration and my bachelor's in journalism. And basically, as part of my job as director of marketing at Learn, I do a lot of writing and presenting on the topic of marketing and e-marketing, specifically for continuing education and lifelong learning. So I thought today we'd just start from the beginning and start about talking about what exactly is SEO. And frankly, search engine optimization is the science or the art of increasing your search ranking position. So what happens is that people search the internet, or they Google information by searching for certain keywords or phrases. And in the business, that word phrase is called a keyword or keyword phrase because it is the focal point around which a search ranking is built. Now, when someone searches the internet for a certain word or phrase, they're going to get a list of web pages where that phrase or word appears. Now, you want to have your web page appear in the top 10 of those results if you want somebody to click on it. And the percentage of people who then look at the second or third additional pages in a search result is very slight. So you really need to focus on getting ranked for the keywords that you think people are searching for so that they are able to find you. Now, this is where we're going to have our first poll question, so I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
All right, great. Thanks, Suzanne. So before we get started or into the presentation, we just kind of wanted to get an idea of everybody's general knowledge level of SEO. So we've got a question here on a scale of 1 to 5. How would you rank your knowledge of SEO? And we've got 5 different options for you to choose from. So if you just want to select which one you think fits your personal needs best, and then we'll show the results here and continue on with the presentation.
And while you guys do that, I just want to say that a lot of times I think people get scared or get nervous around the term search engine optimization because it seems like it's something that's very technical or complicated, and it's really not. So hopefully today we'll be able to go through step by step exactly what you want to be doing and what you want to be looking for.
All right, great. Well, it looks like most people have had a chance to respond, so let's get the results up here. And the vast majority of you, 66%, said that you are somewhat familiar with SEO but want to learn more, so that's great. 3% said you have no idea what SEO means, so hopefully today, after today's presentation, you'll have a pretty good idea of what it is all about. And then same goes with the 10% who said, I've heard the term, but that's about it. And it looks like we also have a few people, 21%, who are very proficient at SEO. So hopefully we'll be able to teach you a few new things as well. So with that, Suzanne, we'll turn it back over to you.
Fantastic. Okay, so why are we doing search engine optimization? Isn't it enough to just put our our URL on everything and people will come to us? But the thing is when you look at how people use the internet, they're confused. And when I say they're confused, it means they have a question that they want an answer to. They want to find information, and we want them to find us. We want to be the one who answers the question for them. So when you have your search engines, they all use social media signals. So how current is your content? How frequently do you get linked to? And that's part of the ranking process. We also know that 78% of internet users do product research online. And we also know that 89% of Americans search the internet before making a purchase. So if you think about it, if nearly 90% of your customers are searching the internet before they decide to buy something from you, don't you want your website and your pages and your products to be at the top of that list? So for instance, at Learn, one of the things that we do is we train people in e-marketing for lifelong learning. So if somebody goes out on the internet and they search for e-marketing for lifelong learning, I want them to find Learn. And last summer, we were really doing a concentrated effort to increase our search engine optimization for this phrase. And what do you know? We were ranking first for e-marketing for lifelong learning. Sometimes we're now second or third, but we're always in that first page. And the people are finding Learn when they are looking for that term. And the reason it works, though, is that the reason search engine optimization works in terms of increasing your revenue and getting more registrations is that 78% of those internet users are researching products online, researching services online, and 89% of the Americans searching the internet before making the purchase. So the result is if nearly 90% of people who are going to purchase a conference, a seminar, a course are going to search the internet before they do, you want to be at the top of that search ranking. And the thing is the effectiveness of SEO in our field, in the field of continuing education and lifelong learning, has actually already been established. In fact, a couple years ago, a couple of guys at Emory University actually won a Learn International Award for this. Jacob Ensign and John Horn, they were working for the paralegal certificate program at the continuing education department at Emory in Atlanta. And they researched 20 different possible promotion techniques, from radio advertising to online advertising, etc. And what they found was that increasing the search position of their website was the most effective strategy in increasing registrations and income. And they found that just a one position improvement in the average search engine rank, so if they were ranking third instead of ranking fourth for the paralegal-related search terms, that resulted in approximately 7.5 additional registrations. So they launched an initiative to redesign the program's website to include better optimization features. The redesign launched, and in 2 months it resulted in a 64% increase in the number of visitors to the website and a 51% increase in conversion rate. So with each registration being worth over $5,000, improving search position rank just one position resulted in additional lifetime income of close to $250,000. So this is something that's free to do. So your ROI is, it's really worth your time to make sure that your website is optimized. So the three things that we want to focus on when we're looking at search engine optimization, first one is keywords. Where do we find them? Where do we put them? The second is link building. So what we're looking at is we want other people to be linking back to us, so that the more people who link to us, the better our Google ranking will be. And then we also want to talk about how does social media fit into all of this. So when we start with keywords, when we're using keywords, search engines have changed the way that people shop. I mean, think about it. Like and this is my two daughters, I wanted to get them like fake UGG boots. And I didn't even want to bother driving to the store and hoping they had their size. And I just would go online and look for them and find the best deal and have them shipped right to my house. And I think a lot of people, that's how it is. We used to have to go out, and we used to have to really put a lot of effort into researching our purchasing decisions. And now we can do it all from the comfort of our own home. And people are using the search engines to find the products just by typing in the keywords that are relevant to what they're looking for. So we need to find the right keywords. We need to know what people are searching for. So at this time, we have another poll question, and I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
All right, great. Thanks, Suzanne. So everybody should now see the second poll question up on your screen, and the question is, do you know the keywords people search to find your site? And got a couple of different options for you to select, and then we'll, like I said, give you a little time to respond, and then we'll get the results up on the screen and continue on with the presentation.
And I think it's important when we're talking about keywords that we start from a place of like, well, here's what I think people are searching for, but we really do need to do additional research into it. And the reason is that we're not always the exact same as our customers. A lot of times we like to judge people the way we judge ourselves, or we assume that everybody thinks like we do, but we really need to know what's going on in the heads of our customers and what they actually are searching for to find us.
All right. Let's get the results up here. It looks like everybody's had a chance to respond. So 55% of you, the majority, said that we know some of them, but not all. 24% said that you know which keywords people are using, and 21% said that no, you do not. So looks like there's kind of a mix there in terms of what people are finding with their keywords.
Big variety. Okay, so if we're going to generate a list of keywords, this is kind of how we do it. We start off with our brainstorming. We start with what we think is happening. Usually we have pretty good gut instincts, but we need to take it a step further. We need to talk to our customers. What do they search for? We want to look at our competitors' sites. What kind of keywords are they using in their sites? And then we want to add geographic variation. So, for instance, we want to say if you are, doing a paralegal program in Atlanta, you're going to have one of your phrases would be paralegal classes Atlanta. You would want to, put the location of where you are into those searches. And then you want to take all of that and you enter them into something called the Google AdWords keyword tool. And I have an example of that. In Google AdWords, and you can just go ahead and to find this, you just Google AdWords keyword tool, and you can put in the phrases that you think, or the list that you came up with, and when you put those phrases into the word or phrase and you put your website URL and you click search, it'll come up with a list for you of keywords and keyword phrases. So the keywords that you're looking for are ones that have low competition, but there's a lot of searches for. And the reason is that those are what we refer to as the long tail keywords, and we want something that we're going to be able to rank on. And by having less people trying to rank for the same keyword, you have more. There's going to be a better chance that you will rank for it. And you want more when there's a lot of people searching for that keyword and not a lot of people trying to rank for it. Your chances of getting in that first page, in those top 10 searches, is going to be the best. You can also find out what you're ranking for in certain keywords by putting it into going to GoogleRankings.com, and that'll tell you, what keywords you are, if you are ranking for those keywords, and who your competitors are. Now, once you have the keywords that you're going to try to rank for, how do you use them? What do we do with them once we know what they are? Well, everything we do needs to have a keyword in it. Every headline on our webpage, on our blog, needs to have a keyword in it. Every description, all body copy, needs to have at least one keyword in it. And you want to make sure that you're also including your keywords in your meta description, because those are the things that Google and Bing are looking for in terms of where they pull their search results from. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar, a meta description is the tag that serves as a function like advertising copy, drawing readers to the website from the results, and thus is an extremely important part of search marketing. So if you see here in the example, I've made a note where the meta description is for our example on Get Certified in E-Marketing for Lifelong Learning. So right there, when people search Google and they have the first couple of lines, they can see exactly what your page is going to have on there. Another thing that you want to make sure to do is that once your page is optimized, you want to make sure that there are other sites that link to you. And that's basically what inbound marketing is about. Inbound links are, they're not just good for referral traffic. They are good for referral traffic. When somebody tweets something about you, the people who see their tweet can come to your site. When somebody puts your URL on their website, people who go to their website can click through to your website. However, the other thing it does now is they actually influences your search engine rankings. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Here are some ways that you can get other people to link to you. The number one way, obviously, is to produce quality content and relevant information. And that's what's so important online for people to share. They're not just going to share if you're pushing sales messages. You need to be sharing relevant information in terms of like blog posts on best practices, that sort of thing. Giveaways are also really good. And by giveaways, it could be something as like a free white paper or a tip sheet or an ebook or a discount, a coupon, that kind of thing. You can also ask people to share your information, to share your links, to share what you're posting. In fact, one study showed that when Twitter users asked others to please retweet, and not just please RT, but please retweet, it actually resulted in 4 times more retweets. You can do a lot of outreach. If you can get bloggers and journalists to write about you, that is helpful. And it's kind of interesting because we don't, traditionally when we were doing marketing for our lifelong learning continuing ed programs, we do a lot of direct mail, a lot of push marketing, and this is actually going back to more of a PR end of it and trying to get people to write about you so that you have those inbound links, and those links will help with your search ranking, so when people are searching, you'll be at the top of their list. You can also ask people to become guest bloggers, and by doing that, it does a couple of things. One, it gives extra content that you don't have to do that somebody else does. But then what happens is that their network of people are also going to see that blog, because when somebody guest blogs for you, you're going to ask them to share that post on their blog, on their Twitter, on their website. And then also, you want to ask your satisfied customers to promote you. So having something on there like the share buttons is a good way to get people to share that information with their followers, their friends on Facebook, their followers on Twitter, their connections in LinkedIn. At this point, we have our third poll question of the afternoon, so I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
All right, thank you, Suzanne. And you should now see the third and final poll question of the day up on your screen. And it's a real basic question: does your program have a blog? And if you could just fill in the answer that fits your program best, that would be great.
You know, the great thing about blogs is that they are so helpful with search engine optimization, especially when they're hosted on those same, with your website. So for instance, our blog is blog.learn.org, and you can do so much with that to interact with your key constituents. But the tough part is finding the time to do it. So one of the things that we've been really doing a concerted effort this year at Learn to blog several times a week, but what you can do that is helpful is you can repurpose information. So everything doesn't have to be starting from scratch. So for instance, on our blog, we always offer a free giveaway, like here's a blog post, and then if you want this free white paper, fill out this form. Well, we do things like reuse the free giveaways. If it's something on e-marketing, the state of e-marketing, and we have a post on e-marketing, we can have one post on e-marketing and then use the free giveaway on e-marketing. And then maybe a couple weeks later we have another post, a different post on e-marketing, but we use the same giveaway. So that's one way to overcome that, the struggle to find the time to blog.
Yeah. I think another tip I've heard is if you've got instructors who are teaching courses, some of those people might be good potential bloggers too if they're experts in potential subjects.
Probably the best bloggers, actually. Your instructors are going to have the key content that that your constituents want. They're going to have the information they want, and you don't have to worry about giving it away for free because you're not giving away the whole farm. You're just giving them a taste of like, this is the great kind of stuff you're going to learn. If we're giving you this for free, can you imagine what if you pay tuition for one of our classes, what you're going to get?
Great. All right. Well, let's get the results up here and continue on. So it does look like the vast majority, 74% of the respondents said that no, they don't have a blog, and I would imagine a lot of it is just time constraints. And then 17% said that they are occasionally blogging, and 6% are regularly blogging, and there are a couple, 3% that are not familiar with blogging in general.
So I think that it's completely understandable why a large portion is not blogging yet, but I really see that this is kind of the direction that marketing is going to be going. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind for the future. And then we talk about integrating our search engine optimization with our social media marketing. So one of the things to keep in mind is that both Google and Bing care about social media sharing when they determine your rankings. And Bing, for those of you who are not familiar, is another search engine, Bing.com. I actually prefer it these days to Google. It seems to do the job. And the thing is, though, that matters, it's not just the sharing that matters, it's who is sharing your stuff that matters. So you can't just go ahead and have set up some dummy accounts with like two Twitter followers, and that won't really mean anything to you, to the Google or Bing search. What you want to do is you want to be having people who have some sort of authority sharing your information. So people who have more followers have more authority. And then the quality of those followers is also important. If they're real people, or if they're you get kind of those spam Twitter type things, those are not worth as much to you as somebody who has true authority. So the key is getting quality people to share your information. So what platform should we be focusing on? Because there's so many social media outlets out there now, and there's so many things that you can be doing. But right now, the top 3 most used social media sites are Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And Pinterest is like the new thing that this just happened last April, that all of a sudden Pinterest just became the biggest thing ever, especially if you're marketing to women 35 to 55. And the fact is the sheer number of people who interact with these sites make them a marketing force that can't be ignored. The 2 other networks that I think are a must also are LinkedIn, if you're doing professional-related marketing to professionals, and YouTube, because I really think that YouTube is such a fantastic way to show people what you're offering. And something I learned very interestingly last year is that if you have, if somebody is doing a search and there's a YouTube video on it, those YouTube videos show up at the top of the search. So the simplistic example they used was, because this was at the New Orleans conference, and it was New Orleans attorney. If you were looking for a New Orleans attorney and somebody had a YouTube video called New Orleans attorney, then that would show up automatically show up at the top of the search rankings because the videos show up at the top. So that's something else to keep in mind. But you need to know that social media is a two-way street. So it's not just enough to push, 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 push. You really need to be sharing quality content, not just sales messages. You need to share your connections content if you want them to share your content. And you really need to post often, because at any given time, the shelf life, for instance, of a tweet is something like 6 hours. So after that, it's kind of gone. Nobody's going to see it. So finally, I wanted to give you guys an example of like what does a search optimized site look like. So I live in Michigan, and I wanted to do, try to come up with something easy. So I thought I'm going to search for Ann Arbor art classes, because Ann Arbor is where the University of Michigan is. Lots of, academics live in there. So I figured they'd probably have lots of art classes for people if you lived in Ann Arbor. I live in Bay City. There's only one place to go for art classes. So I did Ann Arbor art classes. And this is the site that came up, ranked first in the organic search for Ann Arbor art classes. So I wanted to look at it, and I thought, well, why this site? and I think I figured it out. Starting at the top, you see right there where the arrow point to Art Center News. Well, that means that this page is updated often, good content. So that's one of the things we want to do. At the bottom there, we have the social media icon so that they do have a presence online and people can share their information. Now, the third thing I found on this web page was that this link, the Art Centers in the news, that link was about a story that was written by somebody else. So that means that they have independent sites putting their information out there. They've done their outreach. They are getting their inbound links. And you probably can't, read it real well on the screenshot, but they're using the words art and classes in Ann Arbor often. And the result was that there's a #1 search. So that's the kind of stuff that we're really looking for and looking to do. It's not super complicated. It's just very deliberate. So at this point, I would like to know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. And I just wanted to remind people who may have missed the beginning intro, but if you've got a question, you can submit that through the questions box on the toolbar, and then we'll use the remaining time here to answer as many questions as we can. So with that, it looks like we do have a couple of questions. One question that came in is there a way to find out who is linking to your website?
Yes, there is. The way that we do it at Learn, though, is that we work with a third-party vendor in terms of, it's called HubSpot, and we're able to tell in HubSpot who is linking to us. As far as other alternatives to having that, off the top of my head, I'm not coming up with a website, but I am going to, I will find that information and I will make sure that it gets to Chris so that he can get it back to you. But there are probably a simple Google search, you will be able to find other vendors that do that or other pages where you can see who's linking back to you.
And I just wanted to let people know we did, in addition to HubSpot that Suzanne mentioned, we're also working now with another vendor called Genu, and that's been integrated into Lumens, and there's some capabilities within Genu that also helps to track people who are visiting your website. So we're happy to send out information on that if you're interested as well. Let's see, another couple questions we've got have come in. Since Google tailors its results for individual users, customized by browsing history and other factors, how do we know that the rankings that we see as web developers are the same ones that our clients are seeing?
If you go to GoogleRanking.com, it'll be able to give you an independent, not based on what your search, but based on an independent source, so GoogleRankings.com.
All right. Another question we have is, our company often links PDFs to our site. Does this content get recognized by search engines? No. Unless you tag it. If there's a description of the PDF, then that will. It's the same as like a photo. If you had a photo, for instance, that was like a meme that had said something on it, the words on the photo and in the meme are not going to show up in a Google search, but if you had it, put the tag on it, a meta tag with the words, that will show up. Yeah. One thing I do know is if you, a lot of what, some of the search will also be picked up based on the URL name that you give it. So if you do have a PDF, if you just post it and it just says something like document.com or something like that, it's probably not going to get picked up. But if you do specify or can specify a more specific URL, that can help a little bit with that document getting picked up. That's my understanding, at least.
Yes, actually, yes. Like if you had a URL, for instance, and the URL, let's say your PDF was, the e-marketing manual, just as an example, and it was, and your URL was learn.org/e-marketing manual. That which the search engines would pick up on that.
Yeah. So for example, every time I do a webinar here at Augisoft and I post the slides to the presentation on our website, that's a PDF document, and in the URL when I create it, I try to put as many of the keywords from the presentation in there so that it will help be more specific to what people might be searching on. All right, let's see if we got any other questions here. Don't seem to have any other questions at this point. We'll just maybe give people another minute if you've got any questions, and we'll try to answer as many as we can here while we've got time. But at this point, it doesn't look like we've got any other questions. Oh, here we go. We got one more about how does RSS feeds affect SEO?
You know, I don't really have any information on that right at this point on RSS feeds and SEO. Not off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
All right, and so I think we're pretty much done with the questions here, and just wanted to remind people that we will be providing copies of the presentation slides as well as a link to the recording, and we'll get that up on the Augisoft website and have that for people within probably the next 24 hours. So with that, Suzanne, I wanted to really thank you for taking the time today to present a very informative webinar for our audience.
Thank you, Chris.
And if people want to get in touch with Suzanne, her contact information is up on the screen right now. And also just wanted to let people know too, if you're interested in learning more about Augisoft Lumens, or if you also want to learn more about the new Genu product that I mentioned earlier, we'd be more than happy to provide demos of each, and you can do that by just contacting our sales at augisoft.net. So with that, I think we're good to go, and we will sign off. So have a great day, everybody.